normally they're three-year terms.
That's true. So, no.
Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
I didn't know, because I didn't know if you guys had made it.
No, there was no big decision about like how long the appointment was or anything. It was just, oh, what do you guys think? Okay, we approved and,
So I'll put it in for 3, you okay with that?
yeah.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Please, pulling the flag with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have no scheduled speakers this evening. Let's do the meeting minutes approval. We've got one from August 15th.
Make a motion to accept the August 15 minutes as drafted.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have one from September 5th. I'll make a motion that we accept that as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay. Any public input tonight?
You do have some public input. So we're hoping to do another newsletter by the tax bills, but we'll see if that happens or not. I'll keep you posted. The Women's Society, what do we call them, the team group? Planning committee. Met last night, and I am proposing the idea of having a yard sale flea market Memorial Day weekend at the townhouse. Charge like $10 a table for the whole weekend. Any monies there left over would either go to pay for the rental of the townhouse for those 2 days, or we would donate it to a charity in town, food pantry or whatever.
What days were you, what do you?
We're looking at Memorial Day weekend because that's when Wakefield does their town-wide sale, so we try to connect it in.
Next year.
Yes, next year. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for now.
Okay.
So, I guess the big question would be, are you okay with those dates? And would we need to rent it, or would it be okay because it's a town thing? As far as the fee to use, the fee to use the townhouse?
You're gonna rent space? Is that the idea?
I was thinking we could do it at the townhouse.
And the proceeds going to?
To cover advertising and other costs, and/or we donate it either to the food pantry or...
So it's not necessarily a Heritage Commission thing?
No. It would be technically sponsored by the Women's Society.
Inside.
Inside, yes. Well, probably some outside if there's overflow, but probably all inside.
And the Women's Society obviously being a non-profit organization.
It's not even a non-profit, it's just a group.
Yeah, we're just a group.
Yeah.
So,
Not an official. We would make sure to get rid of any money so that we don't have to become a nonprofit or whatever. So, yeah, if there's any left over, we'd, like I said, donate to food pantry or the resource center or wherever.
I think it's okay. I think we should revisit it
Yes.
next year.
Okay.
We got plenty of time.
Are you sure? I was kind of hoping to do, excuse me, to do it this fall, but there's with the painting over there and all that stuff. Yeah, we figured it'd be better to push it off. So.
Okay. Good idea.
All right.
Anything else?
I'd like to talk about the solar panel on Lyford Road. Is this the right time?
This is the right time.
Okay. My name is Robert Compton. I live across the street from the solar panel on the farm, and it seems that we as the town have chosen to ignore the building code for the town knowingly, and sets a precedent that doesn't seem very good. The solar panel is in the building code under section BBB, under structure. It says freestanding solar panel. And the implementation of it even after the move, still doesn't meet the setbacks for a structure. And I talked to the code enforcement officer yesterday, who told me how far it was, and he knows it doesn't meet the requirements, but we as a town are allowing that to proceed. That says that the next guy that comes along that ignores the building code for a structure, we've got a precedent in place that they could litigate against the town. Is that really where we want to be?
I think in this situation, the structure solar panel was misclassified as a ancillary structure. And that's what was used in the complaint about it being too close to the road. Perhaps it should have been a structure with that BBB worded, but it's done. I mean, once the town says this is the violation, we can't go back and change it.
So you're saying the only way that can be done correctly is through litigation? Because you're setting a precedent that says we don't have to follow the rules. When the builder misrepresented it because he had to submit a plot plan, he had to show it in the wrong place, which says he didn't read the zoning ordinances. Even though he sat in a meeting you were in at the zoning board and said, I read them backwards and forwards with my lawyer, I understand them. Solar panel shows up one time. When you do a search of our code, if you, at the search field, type in solar panel, one instance of it occurs. And that's under structure. It can't be misconstrued.
I don't necessarily agree with you completely, because that structure refers to several things. So the object of BBB is the structure, not the solar panel. It deals with communication towers. It deals with radio frequency towers. Solar is just one word, and as a matter of fact, it doesn't even say panel, it just says solar.
You are incorrect. It says freestanding solar panel. It's the last four words under structure.
So where we stand is the town made a judgment calling it an ancillary building structure. And once the town did that, we can't go and change the rules on the property owner. And maybe it should have been a freestanding whatever, and it was overlooked, but it was a mistake. And we can't change the rules on the property owner. That's the town called it an ancillary structure.
Can I add something to it? I understand where you're coming from about future litigation, and I believe that you're correct.
You're very correct.
Once you set a precedent. So the way out of this, the way to ensure that it doesn't happen again, is to form some very significant, strong, and reliable zoning ordinances specifically with respect to solar panels. So I think that's what we need to do. As Rich said, you can't go backwards and move the goalpost. So what do? You have to look forward and say to yourself, how can we prevent this from happening again?
So you guys know the planning board is doing a really good job of structuring that. And if nobody in the community, because everybody in our little community is extremely angry that a person would cut down all the trees in front of the house by the road and put that ugly thing up instead of putting it back where it could have been hidden. But the new zoning laws are going to say 150 feet. And so if they're even close to that, but to not even meet the current standards. And litigations, I mean, you can go back and say the town made a mistake, and you can argue the fact that they need to fix it. I mean, you've got 17 people that are offended, or you offend one. And you choose to offend the 17. Is that really what you're doing to us?
Well, we don't want to offend. We really don't want to offend anybody. And the judgment was made that it was an ancillary structure. I mean, we can't change the goalposts on the landowner at this point. I mean,
Well, maybe there's a way.
They're allowed to do that. Now, cutting the trees down, they were allowed to do that. I mean, everything that, they're allowed to use their property now. That maybe that should have been back another 10 feet. I mean, if we go to the structure, maybe it might have been another 10 feet. We're not even sure how close it is to the 50 feet.
42 feet is what the code enforcement officer said.
It's 42 as opposed to 50.
It's at 42 feet for the tower, not the panel,
Yeah.
which puts the panel about 22 feet off the line.
So I think we're done with that though. I think
And the edge of the panel should be 50 feet off.
Well, yeah, I understand. I understand.
It's not a very satisfactory answer.
Well, what are you proposing we do?
Classify, have him install it under the classification it should have been to start with. I mean, that's the only recourse there is, but it should be the recourse we choose.
I don't believe it's an option, Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we've already approved what was there. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it was approved. And as Rich said, you know, you can't go back and say, well, that's not really what we meant. We really meant it should be this.
So what do you do about the error? What about, who made the mistake?
As I said, going forward, you look at how you can prevent it from happening again. And that is to strengthen our zoning ordinances with respect to solar panel installations.
So forgive me for asking this question, but you don't enforce the ones you have. What difference does it make, it say?
We made every effort to enforce the ones we have. As Rich said, I made a mistake. I'll put my hand up and say I made a mistake. It's not from a lack of trying to do the right thing for the town and for the residents of this town.
Well, I'll tell you, for the person who has to look at that damn thing every day, it doesn't feel like you did the right things.
I can understand that too. But I can't change it.
Okay. Any other input?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ed Comeau, Stoneham Road. I just need clarification because it was my understanding that he reapplied with a new application which was under the structure application. So that's not true.
I don't believe he did that. He asked for an equitable waiver for the existing location.
Then my comment would be, I think the process should be for the 17 abutters, or the amount of abutters that are involved with this, should have another hearing, just so they're aware of where it's going. Because I'm not really clear where the stake was put in the ground.
I can tell you where it is.
And since we're just a small town,
Now.
I don't think it would be a difficult thing just to bring those people together, just to explain to him what happened, what we're not going to do in the future, look to correct the action for the future, and make sure everybody's clear of where it is actually going. That way, at least they're being communicated with. That seems like the major thing here, is that yes, a mistake was made, but the communication could be a little better.
You're talking about with the existing installation at 90 Lightfoot Road, or are you talking about a new one?
I'm talking about the new location. that he's
Oh,
gonna
the
move to.
existing, okay.
Because I don't think that's been clear of where it hasn't been announced to anybody.
Okay. If you really want to know where it's going to go, I can just drive by. It got moved today.
I believe he's in the process of doing it now.
Pardon?
I believe he's in the process of doing it now.
I'm telling you, it's moved. Remember, I live really close by. I watched them all day long.
It has moved.
It's moved.
Any other input? Okay. Let's take a look at some boards and department and committee reports. Given this, at the end of the month, we don't have many. We just have,
I got the Conservation Commission going out.
all right. Under new business, we're going to do it now.
Okay, the Conservation Commission has asked, and Leah has agreed, Leah Gage, to be a part of that commission, a member on the Conservation Commission. So I would like to put Leah Gage's name in as a nomination for the Conservation Commission through the year 2026 for a 3-year term. So I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Chris, you have anything for us?
No.
Okay, all set.
They gravelled all the roads, looks good.
What's that?
They gravelled all along Garney and the new pavement.
Yeah,
All the shim.
yeah, they still have to finish Moose Mountain Road. They have
Okay.
a failure in one of their pieces of equipment, so they're coming back to finish that.
It looks good, it's all tidied up now, it's really good.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Thank you for fixing the potholes of the driveway.
Yes, I did, I wanted to say that. I said that to my wife, who was pulled in, it looked like Chris filled in the hole.
Thank you.
It's nice.
And how are we doing with salt and sand, like as far as what we need for the upcoming, it's gonna start snowing in a month, probably.
Yeah. This is normally the time of year where I take care of that, and we got some of the paperwork from Morton today, so
Okay, cool.
in the next week or so, I'll have all of that done.
Good to load it up. All right, I'm just curious. I know it's a little early, but it's kind
No,
of.
this is the time, we did it last year too. You have to pre-order everything so that you're guaranteed at least the amount that you pre-order.
And then you're gonna mix it and all that jazz. And
Yeah, and we still have quite a bit, both sand and salt there,
Okay.
so we have enough to get started, and the process has begun for ordering more.
Fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We signed this evening.
Can I,
Go ahead.
can we touch on the ZBA?
Sure.
I know it's, everyone loves the ZBA right now. The ZBA is gonna need to have a follow-up meeting to approve some minutes and finalize things from the last ZBA hearing. And so, you know, I know you're getting back into the swing of things, so maybe we could, you know, you want to put an email out to include me
Yeah,
and see when everyone's available for a ZBA meeting.
okay, and I'll try to set that up within the next, before our next meeting, which we're
Okay.
shooting for. If I can get it done before our next meeting, which is the 1st of October,
All right.
I'll get
Yeah,
it
so
set
they
up.
get those minutes finalized and there's the prior set as well.
Correct,
And then we need to try to get a chair
yes.
in there because, you know, me being moderator was a bit awkward.
And we do have a full.
Oh, yeah.
5 members of the
And some
board.
people clearly are, you know, they're fully engaged and there are a couple people I think I would clearly do great as chair and co-chair, so.
Yeah, so it's time to encourage them to step forward.
Yeah, now that they've seen the process, you know, maybe they'll be fine with it, but we need to get those minutes approved, just tidy stuff up from the last meeting, from the last hearing.
Yeah, And I want to thank you too for not monitoring.
I moderated, I guess. the most-
Moderating, that's
Yeah.
it, moderating, thank you.
So, no, all good. All right, that was it this evening.
Okay. We signed a form today saying we are not going to be using the old head tax, $10 a person. We'll mail that down to the state. We've got an intent to cut.
Point of information, what was the $10?
Remember years ago, everybody called it the head tax. a
Not
poll tax.
not a poll tax, is it?
It was called,
Wasn't that what they called it? Yeah.
way back when we used to call it a poll tax. It was $10, maybe before you were here. Every resident that voted had to pay $10.
Oh, that's not legal anymore.
Well, they don't call it the poll tax. It's Form PA 28, whatever, We're not doing that. All that says is we're not doing that. We're not collecting that. We're not going that way. We just
Oh,
put
but
it
that's
in.
the inventory for the PA 28, it's not a, okay, I didn't understand the $10 part.
Was $10. It used to be $10 for the inventory
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
years ago.
But you're not gonna use the form,
That's right.
that's it, thank you.
We have an intent to cut on map 2, lot 6. It's the blueberry farm up on top of Tibbetts Hill. So that's for an FYI. And we have we've got a list of things from our administrative assistant. We're still looking for proposals on winter maintenance for this facility. So we're looking for someone to say, hey, I'm interested in the work. There's a note here on additional Microsoft Word software. The way Microsoft bills this out is every user ID is charged $6 a month for Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. We're short 2 licenses, so we're going to have to spend another $12 a month ongoing for these licenses, if that's okay. We got the propane proposal in, and it's $1.49 a gallon, and we're gonna go with that. And in fact, we didn't get any other responses, so.
That's from September 1st, 23 to August 31st, 24.
All right, that's the extent of her list. And I guess I'd like to bring up, I didn't really like to bring this up, our solar panel situation in town. A couple of years ago, there was a warrant article to exempt solar panels from taxation. I think we have to be very clear to our assessor that we want to start taxing them. I mean, the town said no exemption. So I want to get your buy-in that that's what we want to do. I mean, some of these systems are $50,000. They're not the old simple systems anymore. We're just, and they're being marketed as increased property value.
As well as a revenue stream, potential revenue stream.
Yes, but we don't tax that. We just look at the value of the property, and I think it's part of the value of the property. So I want to make sure we're together on, next year we do a reval town, and that's when it kicks in.
Now, there's no need for a hearing or anything like that, right? We're not changing tax on things, we previously voted not to exempt. So we should be able just to go ahead and decide to levy the tax via the tax card.
Yeah, assessed value.
So let me ask you a question then. Our assessor, not our assessor clerk, our assessor, who has experience in the business, I think would recognize that as an asset and set it up with a value on the tax card. Is that a bad assumption on my part, or is that?
We just have to be clear that we want him to make sure he does that.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll look at what the impact of that equipment has on the property value.
Okay. So we can offer them that kind of guidance to make sure that it's done.
Oh yeah, we'll just I'll tell them when I see him next time, because like I said, we want to go there, but I was going to get the board buy-in that we're doing it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we should. Do we need to do a motion for that?
Just, I mean, the town voted, right, the warrant article.
You know, the town voted on it, and now we're just more or less enforcing.
Yeah.
I recall being in the meeting that you were talking about, and the reason why the exemption was shot down was because at that time, we were not assessing solar panels as an asset. Because at that time, we weren't sure whether or not it would really be considered an asset or a detriment. So it was a neutral assessment. And now if we're going to go forward with putting an assessed value on it, so I mean that we should move forward and start taxing it as an asset.
Good, I'll communicate that with them. That's actually all I have, except for bills.
I should report that the barbecue, the Heritage put on it, we made a deposit of $1,200, so that went into the Heritage account. Okay. Will you be my checker?
Yes, I will.
Okay, all state construction, which was the paving, $209,337.39. That does not include, they still have Pleasant Valley, I believe?
Yes.
Right, to do.
Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
how does that compare to the budget that we approved?
It's under, well, we have 200,000 that we had in capital outlay, and then the 9,337 is coming out of the paving budget, but we had deferred revenue from last year, 49,000,
Okay.
so we're still good,
Thank you.
CMP, home and property, and this was for the town cemetery mowing since May, June, July, and August. The total is $582.50. CMP, home and property for the mowing at the town offices.
Time,
Yeah, go ahead.
what was that for?
This was for the cemetery, the town cemetery.
Town cemetery, okay. Oh, the cemetery.
Mhm.
Cemetery is the key word, and this is for the office.
Yes, this is for the town building, $1,400, and this is from April all the way through the end of August. Eastern Materials for some pipe sand, $840. Eastern Materials for gravel, $848. And for more gravel, $848. Gov Connection for the, as you said, the licenses, $225.22.
Is that 1 month?
Yes. Jan Ledbetter for making the resource guide copies, $135.48. Joanne Dalbier for minutes and mileage, $217.83.
Oops, I'm sorry. Oh,
There
okay,
was two,
okay, it's
I'm
a summer
sorry.
too.
I should
Okay,
have read
gotcha.
them separately.
Yep, I got it.
Karen Stavasic for her annual Town Clerks Association Conference, $170. Kindle Construction, $3,241 to $3,167.86. Long Meadow Supply for some ant spray and a key, $9.37. Mary, was it?
I missed this,
Right here.
it's 29.
Oh, sorry.
It's 2,500.
Somewhere, oh, that was Chris, because I broke it down because he had some coal patch in there, or some, so it was 2,625 and 542.
Yes, yep.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
No, I'm back.
Okay, and Long Meadow, $9.37.
Yep.
Mary Lou McLean for the pork and chicken for the barbecue, $325.44.
Which account did that come from?
It came out of the Heritage Fund, the same one that got the money. Spectrum, $94.98. Water Industries, this is for culvert pipes, $2,796.84.
Okay, so the total is $224,239.91.
Make a motion to accept the bills as read on the record?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have anything else? The town clerk, I just wanted to be open about it. The town clerk is going to a conference in Attitash this year. North Conway, she usually drives up and comes back every day. Attitash is getting a little far. So she suggested that, she asked if she'd be ready for us, get a motel room for 2 nights. I think so too. She's closing the shop here Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and then she's got to drive up there and the following night. So I said, yeah, I think that'd be fine.
That's at least a 2-hour drive one way, isn't it? At least.
But you get to north of North Conway now, so now
It's on all.
so.
Fine with that.
I think it's a reasonable request.
I thought so too. Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, except for me.
I just wanted to congratulate Honorable Bill Nelson for starting his new commissionship up at the county, which he started last week.
I'd just like to say I was there till I just walked in the door. We had a meeting, so I missed the beginning, and I'm sorry I didn't even realize we're that close that you started this time anyway.
Do you have any input for us tonight?
Oh, do I ever?
Go ahead.
Look at my bike. It's worth it. Wait. It's amazing how quick that replacement went up. Unbelievable.
I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, they put that up as of today. And it's amazing how that moved along. I have to give them credit.
That's been reported.
Hold on a second.
What is he on commission for?
Carroll County Commission.
Yeah, this is the paper that
I'm sorry.
I read up.
Commissioner. Is he actual commissioner? Yes.
My wife's going to throw me under the bus for being here. This will be interesting. You can turn off the camera during this.
Is your coming in?
Yes. She just walked in. You're on? On camera too.
We were coming and there was a county thing, so, we just want you to know, we are happy that you did something, but we're not happy with the outcome. And not as much for us as for the man with the horse farm. I can't imagine how he's gonna stay in business. You're not looking at this thing, and somebody screwed up along the way, and I don't really think it was that clear cut. And I am very, very, very disappointed as a resident of this town for 28 years. Bill was given 25 years to this town, 0. No, it has nothing to do with it, but I think we were good citizens of the town of Brookfield. And I am so heartbroken at how this was handled and what the outcome was. And I don't honestly think we would have heard what they were going to do unless we brought it up the other night. So I'm just telling you, I'm still a resident, but not for long if I can help it. Thank you. God bless you all.
I think, I don't know, did they go back and check where they spotted it? Is it in that location? Because I didn't go on the property to look.
I'm sorry, Bill, ask your question a little differently.
Okay, you told me they marked the spot that was agreeable.
Yes.
Has someone gone out to say that's actually where they put it? Because I have no idea.
The code enforcement officer went out to confirm where they were going to put it, where the stake was.
Okay,
I have to assume they put it where the stake was. It's about 45 feet from the property line. It's what was reported earlier by Mr. Compton, I think his name is. He was in earlier. He told us it was about 45 feet back.
I understand it was just moved today too, so there.
oh yeah, I just moved that quick.
It may be a good chance that Nick has not had a chance to get out there and verify it yet. I
Yeah.
will contact him and I will ask him to go out there and make sure
That
it
would be
is.
helpful.
He did what he said he was going to do. So I'll make sure that Nick takes a look at it.
What you missed is, I forget if you were at the planning board meeting Monday, but they're putting together some new proposed zoning ordinances to deal with this in the future. Unfortunately, this is done, but in the future, see if we can't catch them and keep it from happening.
And I was curious, not that you would know or if it's really true, the owners of the property, we haven't seen them in a couple of weeks. And it just seems strange that they're not part of this. So did they have a say in any of this? Do you know, or that's between them and Mr. Campbell? I don't know who we're talking about. Who's the issue between us and the installer or us and the homeowner?
Who's
Us,
up
the town.
with the installer? He represented, the installer represented the homeowners.
So the issue is actually between us and the homeowner, with the installer representing the homeowner.
So I'm assuming they know that that's where it is and they're happy. I'm just guessing.
Well, I don't know I don't know if they're happy or not, but that's where it is.
It sounded like they had regrets at the meeting that they ever did it, but, what we were able to do as a town, it was, we gave an ancillary structure permit. Right or wrong, that's what we gave him. Then we were more or less forced to work within those bounds. And so we got the movement of the pedestal back per the ZBA hearing. And I know that wasn't satisfied, that didn't satisfy the neighbors. They wanted it down. But we had no legal recourse to tell them to take it down other than push it back. And could he push it back a little further? Yeah, but it still would have been right in the site. That's what half of zoning is, in my opinion. It's kind of plain, either you hear about something and you react to it, or you try to get in front of it. We're reacting to it, and we're going to try to make zoning stricter for this exact reason. You can't foresee everything that happens there.
I totally understand. I understand where the town's coming. It just surprised me when we listened to the presentation by Mr. Campbell. He flipped on a lot of things. One minute he do it, one minute he won't. It seemed like we'll put it wherever you want. And that's why I was wondering if the owners of the property were part of the decision, or did he say, I'm deciding because it's going to cost me less to move it. I was just curious, that's all.
They,
And I would know where the town is.
they chose him to represent them. We don't know what the conversation between the owners and him is. We're not privy to that. They authorized him to speak on their behalf, and that's what we've accepted.
I mean, I know where you're coming from as a former selectman, so I can understand. And thank you for what you're looking forward for the town for the coming years.
Any other input? Yes, Ed?
Does the select board, let me try to phrase this correctly. Does the select board have special authority if there's no ordinance? Since there is no site plan review requirement in the town now, since it doesn't exist and you're in charge of enforcing the zoning ordinance, can you make that actually happen? Do you have the authority to do that just from now until town meeting and
I think you kind of answered your own question the way you even asked it. You know the zoning board has to make the ordinance for us to enforce. We can't create an ordinance.
Well, I thought maybe you had some executive power.
That would be very new to me that we'd have some sort of power like that. That sounds very dangerous. I think you'd agree that giving 3 people that power would be, without the town voting on it, without a board vetting it, without council vetting it, and then without the town at the town election, that sounds a little precarious. I'd be surprised, in other words. I think the way you even asked, I think you almost framed it like, could we do that? And I think if I was to ask you point blank, you'd probably say the same thing. It sounds iffy.
I asked it specifically for that reason.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to say that.
Yeah,
Because that's people have asked, could you have done something? And I'm trying to round it out, I'm trying to explain that you only have so much authority to do that.
And selective enforcement of law is a very dangerous thing. If we suddenly begin to selectively enforce or encroach just because some people are upset, that lawsuit can go both ways. We could easily get sued for wrongful prosecution. And that, I appreciate people's feelings, but I think we have to act within the confines of what our ordinances are.
And that's really to the point I made earlier about making sure it doesn't happen again by developing strong ordinance with respect to solar. And I believe, as Rich said, that the planning board is working on that. So that eliminates the need for any executive power on the part of the board. It will be interpretation of what's been approved by the town.
The challenge is the horses out of the barn on this one, right? So solar panels won't get us again. It's the next one that we don't know is coming, right? It's not in the zoning. So all of a sudden, something's going to happen, and we don't know what that something is. We're going to look at our zoning and say, it's allowed. That's what you try to get ahead of. That's what the planning board's working on. What's the next unknown?
But I would say, I may be wrong on this, I may be on a limb, but I would say, given this event and what has happened, if someone were to come in and apply for a permit to put up a solar array, I should think that our building inspector would be choosing not to call it an ancillary structure, but to calling it a structure per section BBB of Article 10, which has all the requirements for further setbacks, heights, topple zones, all kinds of different things applied to it. So a lesson learned that can carry us through to March, but the real answer is long-term solid zoning.
Just to follow up, do the selectmen eventually sign off on a building permit?
We do not sign each building permit.
You do not. Your authority is not to do that.
We've made the decision to charge the building inspector with that responsibility.
Thank you. That answered my other question. I asked questions specifically for a reason. Because people were saying, why couldn't you have done anything? Why couldn't you have gotten the building permit and not authorized it? Or why didn't anybody know? See, I hear these over and over again, so I'm trying to get you to tell me there's a reason why there's a check and balance. There's a reason why you don't have that executive power. And there's a reason why the planning board has to create ordinances and be voted on by the town. So it cannot be, it's just spreading out the power of authority, and I just want to make sure people understand that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, the meeting's adjourned, we'll start the check.
I'll do that. We'll do a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, and you guys for the change.
You might-
All the things,
you
so I
bet.
totally understand. So I appreciate everything you've done and listen to learn.
Bill, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention to begin with. Until you had sent us something, we were unaware of it. I don't travel that road every day, except.
I know, and I'm very pleased how you're recognizing the problem now that's hitting to happen and prevent it, hopefully, of other things coming in. So I'll let you know when I put my back in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to hear. That's what he said.
Right left or right over
Oh, you got him?
Just not right.
I got it.
Oh, these are water bags, but these are water we give them.
It's all right.
Maybe it's just a line.
Don't curse. Although I never heard you curse before.
I'm presumed.
I don't sense it.
Thank you for sending me that check.
Give it,
I
I
know
know,
we
give
give
it
you
to
two.
I mean, more than one copy.
Was on it, taken care of, so. You know, it's, and I had forgotten all about it completely, to be honest with you. Some of the other things-
Pennies and
Oh, look at that. That was a nice surprise. So this is a goodie grab bag?
Yeah.
Who's the-
It's kind of fun.
Thank you. Let's just do that one. Yeah, a lot of idle time.
Yeah. We'll expect a picture when you get it together.
Pardon?
We'll expect a picture when you get it together.
All right. We good? Thank you very much.